Hi, this is Dan Schultz, once again coming from Hopkins, Minnesota, Zion Lutheran Church. Hope you're having a blessed day. It's a gorgeous day outside. It's too busy in my neighborhood, but this is what my backyard looks like today. Just gorgeous out there. Trees are budding, pollen is flying around like crazy, and grass is going to need to be mowed really soon. I'm looking forward to having my boys once again this year mow my grass for me. I told all my kids, that's why I had kids, so they could do the chores that when I no longer want to do them, then they can do them. I'm going to share another devotion with you today, devotion from crosswalk.com, which I often use for when I'm looking for interesting devotions. This one seemed very appropriate. It's called Deconstructing David. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look on the things that man looks on. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So the author of this devotion says, the first time I read the story of King David, it was from a small animated Bible my parents had bought me as a boy. As I flipped through the pages of that little book, I can remember looking on David as something of a superhero. Well, think about it. He defeated Goliath with nothing but a sling and 5 stones, and after that he became king of Israel, replacing Saul, who had done a pretty terrible job to begin with. He was referred to as a man after God's own heart, and nothing could touch him. Now, after a while, I began to see the life of David as more of a fairy tale. I still believed it to be true, but a part of me resented God for showing David so much favor. Why had his life been so perfect when the rest of us had to struggle? Why did God allow so many people to suffer pain, but always seem to step up for David? Well, it wasn't until I was a teenager that I stumbled onto this psalm that was written by David. Psalm 69, the author goes on to tell us about. Psalm 69 says, "Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in the miry depths where there is no foothold. I've come into the deep waters. The floods engulf me. I am worn out calling for help. My throat is parched. My eyes fail looking for my God. Those who hate me without reason outnumber the hairs of my head. Many are my enemies without cause, those who seek to destroy me. I'm forced to restore what I did not steal. You know my folly, O God. My guilt is not hidden from you." The author continues, "Well, now that I'm older, I realize David's life wasn't perfect. In a lot of ways, it was actually pretty lousy. He was hounded by Saul for years. He lost loved ones to sickness and war, even committed some pretty serious sins. Being a man after God's own heart didn't mean that David would be shielded from harm. Being a Christian doesn't guarantee us prosperity either. No, the thing that made David a great man, and the thing that makes our lives as Christians meaningful, was that he never turned away from God. Now, we're all going to experience trials and tribulations in our lives, but by trusting God, we can overcome them. This is how we become people after God's own heart, and in the end, that's what God really wants." So the author asks us to look at the question. Take this question and examine ourselves. Take a moment to look past your troubles and consider what you can bring to get you closer to God. Consider what can bring you closer to God. And during this time when we're not close to people, we often may feel isolated from God too. But nothing can be further from the truth, my friends. We know for certainty, those who believe in Jesus as their Lord and Savior, that He's with us always, that He'll be with us until the very end of time, and that luckily we'll be with Him as well. So during this time of isolation, take some time to think about what would bring you closer to God. We've all got a few extra moments. A lot of us are learning new hobbies. Kinlan is trying to learn French so that she can talk a little bit more with the boys who are both in French class. I'm doing a couple of things new as well, trying to learn some new things, doing some programming, things like that. But it's important that we not only look to keep ourselves occupied during this time of isolation and quarantine. Hopefully, some of the restrictions will start to loosen up a little bit. We'll be able to do a few more things, be able to get together, congregate in small numbers, probably to start with. But even during that time, we want to be drawn closer to God. Now, I know that many of you, like me, are singers, and one of the things that draws us closer to God is the old hymns out of the hymn book. David Wesley is a fabulous musician, and I've recently found his YouTube channel. I want to end today with one of his hymns that he's kind of rearranged. And he's been able to do it. A lot of his videos are him doing virtual songs where people from all over the world, if you go look at some of his videos, he kind of explains how he does it and shows where in the world these different people are coming from. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought maybe you would enjoy it as well. I'll put the description down in the description for this video. I'll put links to a couple of different things, this video that we're going to be watching specifically. So I hope you enjoy this.
Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I'll down in the description, I'll put a link to David's uh, YouTube channel, as well as a link to this particular video, and I'll put a link to a playlist of a bunch of other videos that are very similar to this. Again, I hope that you have a great day. I hope that today is a day that you find yourself growing closer to God, growing closer to the people around you, the ones that you can connect with. Please feel free to connect with me. Email is probably the easiest way to do that, dan.schultz@zionhopkins.org. If you go to our website, you can look it up from there. SCHULTZ is how I spell my last name. I hope to see many of you real soon, talk to a few of you. Have a blessed day.